I just rewatched BoJack Horseman again, and it got me thinking about where the show leaves all of its main characters. I have to admit, this is one of the rare shows that answers almost all of its questions. There isn't much left unresolved. We know where the characters end up, who they become, and in some cases, who they leave behind. Still, it's fun to imagine what happens next. So, in this video, I want to go through where I think the main characters are after the finale and see if you agree with me. I'll cover BoJack, Diane, Mr. Peanutbutter, Princess Carolyn, and Todd, and look at their lives from three angles: professional, social, and personal. Without further ado, let's start with BoJack. Horseman, by the way. Socially, I think BoJack changes the most. By the end of the show, he's lost almost everyone. The only person from the original group who remains close to him is Mr. Peanutbutter. And honestly, I don't think their dynamic changes much. Mr. Peanutbutter is still Mr. Peanutbutter, annoying, optimistic, and somehow always willing to give BoJack another chance. I can easily imagine them grabbing beers and arguing about something stupid a decade later. Princess Carolyn finds him a new agent and stays away unless they meet at movie sets and award shows. As for Diane, I believe the final rooftop scene is exactly what it appears to be. Goodbye. They never speak again. Todd is somewhere in between. He's not angry anymore. He's civil. He'd probably say hello if they met at a party, maybe even chat for a while. But I don't think Todd ever initiates contact again. Professionally, I don't think BoJack ever leaves the industry. He shoots the horny unicorn after the show, gets a new agent, and slowly starts rebuilding his career, because acting is all he's ever really known how to do. Personally, I think BoJack eventually makes peace with his life. He learns to live with his losses instead of trying to outrun them. He probably gets a new house, keeps acting, and settles into a quieter routine. I do think he still occasionally goes on a bender. Recovery was never a straight line for him. Unfortunately, I don't see him ever finding a long-term partner. Now, let's move on to Diane. Socially, I think Diane leaves almost all of her LA life behind. The one exception is Princess Carolyn. I actually think they become closer after the show. They understand each other, support each other, and finally have enough distance from all the chaos to just be friends. Everyone else stays in the past. Diane builds a completely new life in Houston, a smaller one, but a happier one. A few close friends, Guy and Sunny, maybe some fellow writers, no celebrities, no drama. Professionally, I think Diane finds real success with her detective series and never looks back. She stays in that lane, writing mysteries for kids and actually enjoying it. For years, Diane thought she had to write something important to justify herself. Instead, she ends up writing books that make kids happy. And I think, surprisingly, that's what finally makes her happy too. Personally, I don't think Diane ever becomes completely at peace. She's too much of a thinker for that. She still struggles with her mental health from time to time, but now she has something she never really had before: a stable life and a healthy marriage. She stays with Guy, but I'm not sure they have kids. Now let's move on to Mr. Peanutbutter. Socially, I don't think Mr. Peanutbutter changes much. He still hangs out with Todd, goes on ridiculous adventures, and occasionally stops by to annoy BoJack. He's still outgoing, cheerful, and somehow friends with everybody. The difference is that he's finally okay being alone sometimes too. Professionally, Mr. Peanutbutter keeps doing what he's always done, entertaining people. He starts hosting the renewed Hollywood celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Tries a few other shows and remains a familiar face on TV. PC always seems to find some new ridiculous gig for him, and he's always excited to say yes. He never becomes more serious or ambitious. Personally, I think Mr. Peanutbutter changes a lot. He probably still dates younger women and repeats some of the same mistakes, giving too much too early and not always seeing the other person's perspective. But he doesn't chase his heart. He's more comfortable being by himself and no longer needs somebody else around to prove he's happy. I definitely think he and BoJack become friends in their own way. The last episode hints at that strongly, in my opinion. There's something sweet and full circle about him becoming the person BoJack remains closest to. In a strange way, their extremes slowly move toward the middle. BoJack spends his whole life pushing people away, learning to let someone in. Mr. Peanutbutter spends his whole life needing people around him, learning to be okay on his own. Neither becomes like the other, but both become a little more like each other. Now let's move on to PC. Socially, I think Princess Carolyn keeps the most connections from the original group. Part of that is because she was always the hub, the one offering advice, emotional support, or a job when somebody needed one. I think she definitely stays close with Diane. I can imagine them talking regularly and leaning on each other more, and that's where I see the biggest difference, in that her social life doesn't revolve around work and starts expanding. Professionally, I don't think much changes for her, if anything. The final episodes already hint at it. She never really switches off the workaholic part of herself. She keeps growing her agency, takes on new clients, and somehow continues juggling 100 things at once. The difference is that now she has support. Judah understands her and helps her carry the load. Personally, I think Princess Carolyn finally gets what she spent the whole show chasing. After spending years taking care of everyone else, she finally allows herself to be taken care of too. And honestly, I think that's the happiest ending anyone in the show gets. And deservedly so. PC makes mistakes throughout the show. She can be blind to the moral consequences of her actions and puts her career above everything else. But unlike some characters, we see in more than one scene how she starts correcting that. And now we complete the video with Todd. Todd remains best friends with Mr. Peanutbutter, and I imagine the two of them never stop getting into ridiculous situations together. He stays close with Princess Carolyn and Judah, especially because of Ruthie. I can easily see him becoming the fun uncle figure in her life. And of course, he stays with Maud. More than anyone else, she understands Todd's weirdness and embraces it. Professionally, Todd finally finds his calling. Out of all the random jobs and bizarre schemes he tried over the years, daycare is the one that actually sticks. He's great with kids, endlessly creative and chaotic enough to understand them. Personally, I think Todd's ending is about breaking the cycle. At the start of the show, he was just happy that somebody like BoJack paid attention to him. He let himself be taken for granted because he thought that's what friendship looked like. But by the end, Todd grows past BoJack. He reconciles with his mother while she's still alive, something BoJack never managed to do. He builds a healthy relationship with Maud, finds a job he genuinely loves, and slowly separates himself from the reckless lifestyle that defined his 20s. That doesn't mean BoJack disappears from his life completely. I think they still see each other occasionally. Todd smiles when he runs into the older, calmer BoJack. There's no resentment anymore. He has his own life now. And that's where I think the main characters end up after the finale. Of course, that's just my interpretation, and I'd love to hear yours. Which prediction do you agree with, and which one do you think I got completely wrong? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching.